Talk about experiential learning. I wish we were all sort of on VR so that I could be shooting this from my office and you could be smelling all the beautiful essential oils coming out of our factory. So soon, but here we are together now. In 1995, with a 10-year-old son and almost pregnant with my daughter Lucy, I founded the natural and organic personal care product company, EO. EO stands for essential oils. It's the heart and soul of what we do. I could say that our mission was to make healthy, safe, beautiful, effective products for ourselves, our families, and our greater community. And that was true. But really, I had a deeper desire to find my purpose and what had heart and meaning to live and make a living and make a life. I want to share a bit about my quest with you, and hopefully it will help illuminate your unique paths. Lesson 1. Go within or go without. I was in the clothing business for 15 years. And, I made my way from salesperson to buyer to merchandise manager and eventually to designer, and I had my own clothing store. I traveled around the world. I was creative, I was successful, and I was happy. It was fun for a while. And then, when my son was born, it was 1986. I was in the middle of opening a retail store with a financial partner in downtown San Francisco. And something kind of began to bother me, but I couldn't quite tell you what it was. I was married to a lawyer who was very driven and kind of on the wrong side of things, is what I thought. And we lived in Pacific Heights. I had a nanny. I did aerobics. We had our groceries delivered. There was a doorman. And I was opening a store with a financial partner off of Union Square. And I didn't quite know how I got there, but at the same time, my friends were sick and they were dying of AIDS back in New York. And it was just unbearable. So I was sort of looking at my life and things felt bad and they looked really good. So there was beginning to be this feeling of discontent and incongruence. I was drawn to Zen Buddhism like a good pair of black boots. I was in San Francisco. I received the book Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, and I began to read and study and go to Dharma talks and meditation retreats at the San Francisco Zen Center and out at Green Gulch. I started meditating in the bathtub, and my young son would sort of wander in and out and sit quietly for a few minutes, get bored, and go on his way. And slowly, I felt my internal life shifting. I didn't know what that meant outwardly, but I could just feel a sense that something deeper could happen if I stayed on this path. My marriage fell apart, and I moved to Bernal Heights, took my son to concerts and art openings, did a bit of travel, and I ended up selling my retail store to my financial partner for $12,000 so that I could figure out a new life. Lesson 2, Easy does not mean fulfilling. Although I was good in the clothing business and well paid, because I wasn't happy and it didn't feel like my purpose for being here, it was confusing. You know, as I said before, I kind of felt like I was at the wrong party. It looked good and it felt hollow, and I wasn't quite sure how to make my way. And in 1990, I was offered a job working for Doug Tompkins at Esprit. And the world opened up in a different way. Doug was deeply committed to the environment. He was at a crossroads personally and wanted to align the company with his values. And I had the honor of working with him and meeting people like Yvon Chouinard and Anita Roddick and entrepreneurs and artists who really wanted to catalyze and use business for positive change. It was a new path that was being illuminated for me, and it was a portal to expanding and figuring out what had heart and meaning. After being at that job for 6+ months, I was traveling in Hong Kong, working, and an announcement came that Doug had sold the company to Susie, his partner. She came in with the bank and some investors, and overnight, vision and priorities had shifted. We went from exploring the possibility of using organic cotton and understanding the toxicity of chemicals that were being used in making clothing and dyeing clothing to business as usual, same old grind, creating some bright new shiny objects to put Esprit back on the fashion map. Looking back, it was very understandable. She was under tremendous pressure. She was one of the only women business owners and leaders that I knew, and I really respected her and understood what it took to run that massive business, rebrand it and reposition it. But still, it wasn't my purpose, and I knew it was time to go. I just didn't know where I was going. So just because something comes easy and you can do it, doesn't mean that it's fulfilling. So you've got to pay attention and look to what other possibilities are and follow the thread of what is fulfilling and meaningful. Wordless transmission and being present. In Zen Buddhism, there is a story called the Flower Sermon. Buddha's in front of an audience much like this, and he in a very still way, he holds up a flower, I think it was a white lotus, and stands there and glances at the audience. People sort of start talking to each other because they want to understand what he's doing and what they're supposed to do, right? So they're trying to figure it out and figure out a way to respond so that, they're good students. And Buddha stands there looking, and he meets the gaze of Mahakassapa. And they look at each other. Mahakassapa smiles at Buddha holding a flower, and Buddha recognizes him as one who knows. That's the sort of roots and story what we call wordless transmission. Wordless transmission happens to us all the time. It's when we meet someone and it's like they get us, or we see something and we just know those boots or that house or that job or that person is it. We see and we're seen. I think it's really important, and it was for me, to sort of track what wordless transmission we receive on a regular basis. And the way to do that is by slowing down and paying attention. Work is love made visible. In 1991, I was traveling in London, still working for Esprit, and I stumbled upon this incredible courtyard called Neal's Yard. In it, there was a small apothecary that had herbs, tinctures, remedies, books, and essential oils, and a bath and body care line. I smelled a small bottle in blue glass of a pure lavender essential oil, and I was riveted. The smell was honest, vital, and real. It was sort of a moment, a life-changing moment, really. It made me happy. I thought about my walks in the tall grass with my dad and my grandma's garden in the summer, watering tomatoes, smelling the incredible smell of honeysuckle that followed lilacs in season. And I realized that nature grounded me and connected me, and essential oils are a part of nature. And I wanted to make my life around the power of what they provided, that connection and that feeling. I was in love. I wanted to stay in that store forever. So I came home, and I found some people that knew the owner of Neal's Yard, founder, and I secured the license for the US and started importing their products. I was low on funds, so I got my first order from Fred Siegel, and I made them pay half up front and half COD. So I drove the order down to LA myself so I could collect the balance. I was a single mom, and I really had to make this work, and it had to be viable in order for it to happen. I was enthralled with essential oils. I had an intuitive connection, and I realized that each one had a unique property, sort of much like color, so that when you combine them, there was magic. I was branding and selling Neal's Yard and studying aromatherapy and essential oils, and decided that eventually it was time to have our own brand. And then I met Brad Black. Brad had a clothing company called Maniac, and I met him in his warehouse in Potrero Hill. They were making clothes from organic cotton and recycled plastic bottles. We were kindred spirits in a way, fast friends, helped each other with our business plans, commiserated, and fell in love. And when Bloomingdale's approached me to do 4 unique blends, exclusive blends for them, for their 1995 holiday catalog, Brad, who worked down the hall, came right away to assess our situation. You see, we were filling everything and mixing it in a big 2-gallon pot and pouring it by hand into beakers, and that was never going to work for this project. He had me at gravity feed. He devised a quick fill system, and we processed the order, made the blends, and delivered it on time. We've worked together ever since. We had a daughter together in '96. He's a stepfather to my son. We were married for 10 years, and we've been divorced for 10. And I tell you that working together for this time, through the hardship, navigating the transition of relationship, has made us cultivate ourselves and each other and the company with great respect, care, consideration, devotion, and kindness. So if work is love made visible, then our relationships, both with ourselves and with each other, need to reflect that. It's paramount. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt what a small committed group of individuals can do to change the world. It's the only way it's ever happened. Lesson 5, be vulnerable and ask for help. We needed so much help, it was beyond help. And we were a little bit reluctant. So when we wanted to sell our first Whole Foods when they opened in Mill Valley, that was the first call for help on a larger scale than we were used to. We presented the products to them and they turned us down. So we called and wrote to everyone we knew to visit Whole Foods and write a letter on the community board to bring our products in. They did, and we did. And we exhibited at the Natural Products Expo and just kept going, one store at a time, one natural store at a time. It was really motivating, it was fun, it was hard, and we were able to stay in the game, meet our tribe, get a lot of help and support from people in the industry, our families and friends. We financed everything through angel investors. We were never interested in private equity and venture money because we wanted to do it the way we wanted. We wanted to control all of the ingredients, to be able to source from growers, farmers, and distillers globally that we had relationships with. We wanted a company that we wanted to work for. People and relationships first. We became a B Corp in 2011, but we were always a B Corp from the beginning. The great thing about benefit corporations is that they ensure the future of leadership through legally making it so that succession and transaction has to reflect the bylaws and values of the company that came before it. So we love being a B Corp, and the community that surrounds it is rigorous, the process is rigorous, but you'll see that B Corps are happening more and more and becoming a legal entity. The next thing I think that will happen is tax laws will reflect the idea that people first, and then purpose, planet, and profit on the bottom line where they belong. Lesson 7, take your time. Business is an art and a science and a means of self-expression. Business for the highest good is something that we can aspire to. I wanted to share just a little bit of my story with you because I firmly believe if we can do it, you can do it. Take your time, listen to yourselves, be patient, be kind, be curious, be open, listen for wordless transmission. We need you, we need each other, and we need you to contribute your unique and authentic contributions. So I hope you will, and I look forward to it. Thank you very much.